Well, good morning and welcome to the channel. I'm trying to decide whether with the hat or without the hat. I think I'm keeping the hat. Hi, my name is Dallas and I am a experienced U.S. citizen. I was born in the United States, raised in the United States, educated in the United States, and spent my whole career working in the United States. Today I want to talk to young people. I want to talk to Generation X, the Zennials, the Millennials, Next Gen, Gen Y, and Gen Z. Now I'm sure I missed somebody, but you get the idea. Because what I'm about to share with you, there's no possible way you can know because you're simply too young. Let me start with this. First of all, I have nothing to sell. There's nothing here, and I'm not sponsored by anybody. I'm just going to share with you what I've been doing over the last month or so to help our economy during this COVID-19 lockdown. I'm a semi-retired computer programmer. I started programming back in 1968, and during that time I was working with some coding called Hollerith. Don't worry about Hollerith, it's been dead a long time. But that's the way the IT industry is. Every 5 years you're starting with something new. During my career I was a very small business, a self-employed, one-man operation, independent contractor, micro business. I worked my entire career in the Washington, D.C. market. My clients were small businesses and federal government agencies in D.C. Being self-employed, I had a time management mantra. It went like this: if I have a problem, don't waste my time, do something. If I'm not going to do something, don't waste my time having a problem. And that worked great for me. It kept me focused, it kept me on task because I always had deliverables. The short version, put up or shut up. Well, today I have a problem. I'm upset. I'm upset that 90,000 Americans had to die over the last 4 months. 90,000 dead Americans, that leaves 450,000 family members in mourning. And the number may be as high as 110,000 by July. 110,000 deaths, that's 600,000 family members in mourning. I'm also upset with how Congress is rewarding their friends with stimulus packages wrapped in the COVID-19 opportunity. That's how Washington works. It always has worked that way. And in 2 years, a lot of that money comes back in donations during the midterm elections. Now all of this stimulus package, they're on number 4 right now. And number 4 is all about bailing out cities and states who have mismanaged their finances for years. It has nothing to do with COVID-19. All of the Washington problem is all based on something called Lend Woman. And if you're interested in what Lend Woman is, put it in the comments, I'll get to it. But today is not about Lend Woman. That's another video. Back in 1992, we had a presidential election, and that was George Bush Sr. He was the Republican, and Bill Clinton was the Democrat. But during that cycle, we had a third candidate, an independent, a guy named Ross Perot. Now, Ross Perot was an independent. I'm an independent voter, and I have no desire to be a Democrat or a Republican. Well, Mr. Perot, an interesting guy. He was a graduate from the Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. He was an IBM employee. He then consulted to General Motors. Then he started his own consulting firm, EDS Systems, and eventually Perot Systems. He was an IT executive. I'm in IT, and that's why I was paying attention to him. Now, Mr. Perot died last year in 2019, about 90 years old, and he left $4 billion. He was a smart guy. He understood how to play the game. Well, during one of his presidential speeches 28 years ago, he said something that I didn't get. I didn't understand. And forgive me, Perot family, but here's what he said. He said, "If you'll take care of the nickels and dimes, the dollar will take care of itself." And I said, "What? What was that? What was that? I didn't get it." Well, about 3 weeks later, he's given another speech, and he says it again. He says, "If you'll take care of your nickels and dimes, the dollars will take care of themselves." And I was, well, okay, but I still don't get it. Long story short, Mr. Perot did not win the election. It was won by Bill Clinton. The Republicans blamed Mr. Perot for their loss, but that's how it works in Washington. You have an election, you lose, you blame somebody else. 5 years later, I'm driving down the road, and I repeat that thing to myself. If I take care of my nickels and dimes, my dollar will take care of itself. I get it. How simple that is. If you take care of your nickels and dimes, your dollar will take care of itself, because your dollar is made up of nickels and dimes. And how appropriate that's going to be right now, coming out of the COVID-19 lockdown. If you'll take care of your nickels and dimes, your dollar will take care of itself. If you'll take care of your town, your neighborhood, your city, your county will take care of itself, because your county is made up of your towns, your neighborhoods, and your cities. And that's what's going to be important coming out of this COVID-19 lockdown. So what can one guy do to actually help with the recovery? The media suggests that this will all be over by the Christmas holiday. I don't think so. In 2009, we had a financial crisis, the mortgage crisis. The banking industry recovered in 3 years with record profits. Main Street never recovered. Main Street just learned how to hang on. Back then we had 6 million people applying for unemployment insurance. Today we have 35 million people applying for unemployment insurance. The banking industry already protected to the stimulus packages. But it's going to be 5 years before Main Street is able to get back to the 2019 standard. So what can one guy do? Remember, I told you, I was upset. Here's what I'm doing. There is one thing I get to control during this lockdown. I get to control how I spend my disposable income. Disposable income. After all the deductions, what you have left over, that's your disposable income. Well, I still have stuff to buy, but I have a new rule. And the rule is, if I'm going to buy new, I have to buy in the United States. Otherwise, I'm buying used. Let me give you 2 examples of how that works. One is, I need a pair of tennis shoes. I would prefer to have new tennis shoes. So I get online, I Google, I Bing, I'm an independent, and I type in the search criteria, tennis shoes made in the US. By the time I get tennis shoes typed in, 5 ads have already popped up, and Nike, Adidas, Fila, Stretchers, but eventually I get down to the first natural order result, and these guys are actually doing their SEO, search engine optimization. They're not just paying money to jump to the top of the list. So I hit the link and I go over to their website and I start browsing, and sure enough, there's a pair of tennis shoes there I can use. So I look at the price. Yeah, it's about 15% higher than what I normally pay, and I have to pay shipping. But that's okay. I'll pay a premium to keep my money in my economy. I'm done sending my money across the pond. I'm done with that. I'm sorry, Nike. I'm sorry, Michael Jordan. You folks are wealthy enough. I'm keeping my money in my economy. Remember, if you take care of your economy, your city, your town, your county takes care of itself. Now I have a new rule. If I'm going to buy new, it's got to be manufactured in the United States. Otherwise, I'm going to buy used. And I need a bicycle. The gyms are closed right now, and I do need vigorous physical exercise for my health, for my fitness, for my disease. Yes, I have a disease, but it's all under control, and it's been under control for 12 years. So I go into a bicycle shop, and I tell the guy, I need a bicycle for exercise. He says, oh, okay, and he asked me a bunch of questions about where I'm going to ride and how I'm going to ride and how often I'm going to ride. And he says, my recommendation is you need a hybrid. You don't need a road bike, you're not racing anybody, and you don't need a mountain bike, you're not going off-road. You need a hybrid. I said, okay, a hybrid, what size do I need? And he looked at me and he turned around and he pulled a bike right out of the rack and he says, put your leg over that. So I sat on that bicycle, very comfortable, I liked it a lot. I looked at the price tag, I could handle the price tag, and I said, okay, great. Do you have any hybrid bicycles in here made in the United States? He said, no, I don't. Everything in here is made across the Pacific. I said, you mean China? He says, yeah, Taiwan, Hong Kong, China, that's where they make them all. I said, but there's a bunch of American names in here. I mean, there's Raleigh, there's Huffy, there's Cannondale, there's Schwinn. He says, yeah, I know, but either they sold out or they just decided to manufacture over there. So I thanked him for his time and I left. I went back online, I Googled, I Binged, and I started searching for bicycles made in the United States. And I found some, but they weren't for me. There are high-end racing bikes made in this country. There are high-end mountain bikes. There are electric bikes, e-bikes, and there are bikes with motors. None of those is what I need. I need a hybrid. So I search around and I end up on Craigslist in my community, and I hit the category for sale, and I type in men's bicycle. 175 listings. Well, I'm not going to do all that. So I finally get my selection criteria down to where it has the word hybrid in it. And sure enough, here's 7 bicycles in my area that'll work for me. So I hit the reply on all 7 of them, and I emailed a message and said, if it's still available, I'd like to see your bike. And then I waited for the response. 2 days later, I'm riding around in a church parking lot on a used bicycle, and I bought the bicycle, gave the woman my money, loaded the bike up, taking it home. Now, if you think the point of this is that, yes, I know how to navigate the web, and yes, I know how to find the stuff I'm looking for, that is not the point. The point is the money that I gave to that lady. That's my disposable income. I gave it to her, and it's going to stay in my community. It's her pocket money. She's not going to call up her bank and say, oh, by the way, I think I want to start a new savings account where you can pay me 1% interest. She's not going to do that. She's not going to call up her broker and say, oh, I think I'm going to put some extra dollars in my 401k plan because you know how well that's doing right now. She's not going to do that. Within the next 10 days, she's going to spend that money all over town. She's going to spend it at the grocery, at the nail salon, at the beauty parlor, at the barber shop, at the ice cream store, at the florist. Dozens of micro businesses right in my community. That's what I'm doing. I'm not sending my money back across the pond anymore. I'm done with that. You take care of your nickels and dimes, your dollar will take care of itself. You take care of your town. Your county will take care of itself. And that's what one guy can do to help with the recovery coming out of the COVID-19 lockdown. In your town are micro businesses everywhere. You walk into a sandwich shop, Dad's back on the grill cooking the sandwiches, Mom's on the register taking care of the money, the daughter's on the phone taking orders, and the son is walking around trying to keep up with all the trash that the production is generating. That's a micro business. Your barbershop, the beauty salon, the nail salon, the florist, the guy on that zero-turn mower, the guy out on that spreading thing that spreads out chemicals to kill dandelions, you know, and he has his name on his van. That's a micro business. That's where the major part of our economy is. Our economy is $22 trillion. That's with a T. Mr. Gates, and good for you, Mr. Gates. Mr. Gates has $50 billion, and that's okay. But it takes $1,000 billion to make a trillion. That's how big our economy is. Here's my rule. If I want to buy new, it's got to be manufactured in the United States. Otherwise, I'm going to buy used. Now, I have to say that I'm sorry to Apple. The Apple 12 iPhone is about to come out. I'm done with that. I'm going to let it stay on the shelf. If I need a new phone, I'll go look for an Apple 10 or an Apple 11. I don't need a new phone that's only new feature is it's got 3 cameras on the back. I don't need that. I don't need a phone that monitors every word I say on the phone. I don't need that. And if you don't think that's true, you try a little experiment. You look around at something you have absolutely no interest in, and you call your BFF and you have a chat about it. Let's say you want to talk about tires for your car. You call up your BFF and you say, hey, I'm thinking about buying some new tires because I have old tires and I'm thinking about buying new tires for my car. And then you hang up. 3 days later, you're going to have tire ads coming onto your phone. And how do you think they did that? Well, they just collect everything you say, put it in a database, run an algorithm against it, and sell that information to advertisers. They've been doing that for decades. That's how it works. So when the new iPhone comes out, I'm sorry, I'm done sending my money across the pond. For every iPhone sold in the United States, Apple sells 4 to China. Why? China's 4 times the population as the United States. We have 300 million people. They have 1.2 billion people. Nice bird. For every Apple or every iPhone sold in the United States, they sell 5 to the rest of the world. We're only about 10% of their market. They're not going to miss us. And they're wealthy enough. I'm done sending my money across the pond. Now I know some folks are going to turn their nose up at the idea of buying used. And that's okay, I get that. But you just look over the top of your iPhone, everything in your kitchen is used. Everything in your living room, used. Everything in the dining room, in the bathroom, in the bedroom, used. Everything in your garage, used. Your attic, your basement, used. Go to Grandma's house, everything there, used. So you've been living quite comfortably and quite safely with used product all your life. I'm just saying. We have a $22 trillion economy. If you take all the government employees from your town, your city, your county, your state, federal, and you add to that the quasi-government agencies, all the military, all of those folks, and you add to that the post office, and you add to that all the executives who run big business, and you'll be surprised how few people that really is. and you add the police. You take all those folks together, that represents 30% of our economy. But you don't have to worry about those folks. Those are not the folks who are filing for unemployment insurance. All those folks, they're protected. No sailor, no airman lost their job during the lockdown. No federal employee lost their job during the lockdown. And of course, the police, well, they're always on the job. Now, you don't have to worry about big business. You don't have to worry about big pharma, big bank, big medical, big media, big auto, big insurance. You don't have to worry about any of those folks. They are already taken care of by the stimulus packages. That's Congress rewarding those folks for keeping them in office. All of that is based on something called Lend Woman. And if you want to know about Lend Woman, put it in the comments. I'll get to that with another video. Now, coming out of this lockdown, you're going to hear a lot of slogans. You're going to hear people with lots of verbiage. They're going to have lots to say. Well, buy American. That's a slogan. Doesn't produce anything. The mega hat. That's a slogan. Doesn't produce anything. Maybe it's inspiring, but it produces nothing. Designed in the USA. Doesn't produce anything. An old inventor 100 years ago said, inspiration without execution is an hallucination. You have to execute. You have to do something. And this is what I'm doing, and I'm happy with it. I'm keeping my money in my economy. I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm not violating any executive orders. I'm not starting any grassroots organizations. I'm not standing in the middle of town with my assault weapon yelling at people so somebody will take me seriously. I'd like to think I work smarter, not harder. But I'm done with the folks across the Pacific. I'm simply going to let their new product stay on the shelf. One thing you can do is hit the share button for this video. You hit the share button and up pops a social media platform that you already know. Share it with your friends. Tell them whatever you want. It's okay with me. If you don't get what I'm explaining, that's okay. I didn't get it the first time either, 28 years ago. But it is going to be important right now. And please know the mainstream media cannot adopt any idea like this. They simply can't do it. The reason is this. If you've ever had a business for more than 30 days, you know you cannot upset a paying advertiser. And a lot of their advertisers are shipping stuff across the Pacific to here. So the media cannot. They cannot adopt this. They just can't do it. The only way we're going to get this kind of information out and about is through social media. That's why I say, hit the share button. Well, this is Dallas. That's what I'm doing. I'm happy about what I'm doing. I think it is smarter than working harder. Next for me, I'd like to make a video. I'd like to make a video on all the places you can actually buy used stuff. And it turns out there's a lot of places you can do that. So, thanks for listening. See you in the next video. One last thing. Don't worry about the big box stores. They're already protected in two ways. There's a lot of big box stores who are in bed with China. And that's okay with me. You sleep with them, not me.